Well, I made it through the Odyssey. 3 hours, almost 3 hours long. I schlepped myself to my nearest movie theater, and it was yesterday, Saturday. Um, One of the most rainiest day in New York. Long Island got hit where I am pretty hard. And I said, this is a good day to be out of the house and in a theater. Normally, it would be a good day to be at home streaming something, but unfortunately, the state of streaming and movies and TV shows have got down to the toilet. So I figured, let me see if I can test my endurance and sit through an almost 3 hour movie without being distracted, though I knew I had to take a ladies' room break at some point because there's no way I'm going to sit through anything for 3 hours without having to use the ladies' room, especially if I'm drinking this size of a soda, which was not really a soda, it was a fruit punch. Okay. So I mentally prepared myself. I said, I can do this. I can get this done, Lena. And hey, by the way, my name is Lena and welcome to my channel. And today I am giving you a spoiler review of the Odyssey. So if you do not want to know about this and you don't want to be spoiled, well, then I'm sorry. Find something else in my playlist that you may enjoy because we need to talk about this a little bit. And I hope that this brings you some sort of clarity, information, or you just want to join my community and you like, comment, subscribe, and you hit that hype button, which I still don't know what it does, but I heard it does something on YouTube's. So let's get into it. The Odyssey. Listen, I'm going to start off by saying I don't have an emotional connection to the story. Um, I don't remember reading this at all in school. I do know the pillar points, Helen of Troy, Athena, all of that. The Trojan horse, so I don't remember ever reading the book, but I do know that there's another movie, another version of this movie. I want to say in the 70s or something like that. It could be even in the 80s. I'm not sure, but I never watched it. So I don't have an emotional connection on all of the things that people who are angry about this movie are spewing on the internet. I did find it a little odd, some of the casting choices, only because I know from the history of just basic genetics that it may be improbable to have these types of cultures involved in a Greek mythology. But it didn't irk me, only because, again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I'm going to nitpick every single thing. This is the way the boat should look, and this is the way that this monster should look. But there are some that I was like, so what's the monster? Okay. So I went in there wide eyed, open eyed, matinee, 1 o'clock, my theater. And I'm going to say that I'm going to just average it out. It could have been 100 seats. 60 of them were filled up, so there was a good 40 seats left open. And I'm telling you this because the last two movies that I've been to that in this theater, um, there were 6 to 7 people, and one of them was Supergirl, and the other one's Momoa or Moana, and I was kind of shocked. So it was nice to actually go into a theater where people were actually there. So that's to start off. That's a good thing. It was not an IMAX theater. I'm not going to watch this on IMAX. It was an $8 ticket. I'm not, you're lucky you got me out of my seat and you got me geared up for 3 hours. Okay. Um, so what I can tell you is that when the movie started, I know the opening was with Travis Scott, and I don't know what the big hoopla was about him being there. I think it was because he had dreadlocks, and dreadlocks were not considered, fashion forward in the time that this was written 3,000 years ago. He wasn't rapping, he wasn't doing that, and then all of a sudden we get to Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway, and I'm going to tell you from this point on, I'm going to give you my cons before my pros. Part of the problem I had with this movie is that there was no formal through line storyline I can follow, because especially if I don't know the history of what I'm supposed to be watching, I just felt that you probably need to brush up a little bit to understand what is going on here. Because as a newbie, as someone that's never followed this before, I was like, wait, hold up, what's going on? What is happening? Like what? Because it was very fast paced. And I have to give it to Nolan. It was a daring risk to create a 3 hour movie in the age of TikTok, Instagram, Insta Life. People don't have attention spans anymore like we used to. I could sit through movies like The Gladiator with no problem. Again, because of the storyline and because I like that type of movie. I remember Gone with the Wind. I am a huge, like, if you tell me what's my favorite movie, it would be Gone with the Wind. I know it's weird. And that was a 4 hour movie. And of course, I wasn't alive when it came out in 19, I want to say 30 or something like that. But if you are a Gone with the Wind fanatic as well, you know that if you get any of the DVDs, tapes, or if you watch it on television, I still believe they do this, because the original runtime was about 4 hours with the interlude and the intermission. There was an actual intermission built into the movie because they knew that anytime after about 2 hours, it would be too long for someone in the theater at that time to stay still and not need a reprieve, walk around. It's like almost like an opera thing, where you need to use the bathroom facilities. And I still have the tape, the DVD that actually gives you the intermission time. And it says it. That's the only movie that I remember having that. And I can tell you that probably this would have done well with this movie. When I think about it, because I was looking through the people that were getting up to use the facilities, one, me included, excuse me, it's early in the morning, sorry. There were a lot of older people. And when I say older, 70s, 75, using canes and getting to the facilities at that point would take a nice 10 minutes out of your day through the movie. It took me about 6 minutes only because the ladies' room was not as close to the theater that it was showing in. So I know for the two times that I got up, I missed 12 minutes of this movie. I tried to pin it when there was more exposition and talking than it was action. But I think that a short intermission probably would have done well for this movie, because this is the type of movie that I would have liked to have seen 20 years ago, and done in a much more story-like way. Because I do like I said, Gone with the Wind. I remember Ben-Hur, Gladiator, Lawrence of Arabia. It's almost in that kind of thing, like that kind of storytelling, except it's lacking color. There's no color in this film. That's my second pet peeve. Story flow line and no color. And the third, it is, if you're worried about attention span and getting distracted, I did look at my phone for the 3 hours once an hour, so that's three times. Um, the edit cuts are very quick in certain scenes, so you need to be focused and paying attention to what the hell's going on. But then there's that lull that happens because I don't know why, but it was more talk than show. Like you have to listen to this movie to understand the premise of this movie, you know. And even when you listen to it, there are still major gaps. Like, I had to figure out all these names and I still didn't figure it out. Okay. I still don't. The only reason I know Odysseus is because it's Matt Damon. He's predominantly in the show. I didn't know Charlize Theron was in the movie at all. Lupita was in the movie. If she was in there for 4 minutes, that's too much. And I'm going to tell you, I did not know that she was playing Helen of Troy in the movie. I'm like, who that? Because she has a twin sister. I'm like, what? Who? Then the she kills her husband that we never see his face, but he's a presence in the movie. And I'm like, who's this actor? Do we ever get to see his face? He does something horrendous. There is animal abuse. I just forewarn you. It's not extensive, but it's enough to piss me the freak off. Dogs. Okay. I was like, what is happening? Okay. John Leguizamo, I couldn't tell you if he was Greek or not because he plays a character that could be anybody, right? But there was very, very stark differences in some of the characters that were there, like in the sense that um, I am going to say not Greek. And they make it a point that they're Greek soldiers. I'm like, okay, I can't say anything about that because I'm a Puerto Rican American. You know, uh, maybe they're Greek, whatever, Asian Greek, Indian Greek. I don't know. I don't know what was really out there. I'm presuming that this is completely out of context, but they don't make such a big impact like the main characters do, in the sense that Matt Damon is, I don't know what to call his style. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about this. He wasn't bad, but it wasn't outstanding, if that makes any sense. Like, they could have swapped him out. I'm going to tell you something. Everybody in Hollywood that still is left in Hollywood is in this movie. Everybody. I'm surprised that they didn't have Robert Downey Jr. and Pedro Pascal in the movie. And for Matt Damon, I'm going to tell you, not Pedro Pascal, but Robert Downey Jr. could have played this role. Like, he didn't make such an impact on me that I was like, wow, that's why he picked Matt Damon. No, no, no. It was nice to see, Tom Holland in the movie. Again, in a movie. His wife, Zendaya, has a role to play in this movie, though they never have a scene together, but she doesn't have a significant role. But it's like, it's a twofer. You get a movie, the two of them need to be in it in one way, shape, or another. These stand out. There was Anne Hathaway, and she was playing a bereaved wife that's not bereaved. So she really didn't bring any depth to the character, in my opinion. I'm going to tell you who stood out to me the most. It was Robert Pattinson. It was nice to see Batman play a movie, because his actual second movie playing Batman has been delayed yet again for another year. And his role next to Tom Holland, who is Spider-Man, um, is interesting because Tom Holland has played Spider-Man more times than Robertson has played Batman, and he's younger than him. So it was an interesting choice to have them put together, seeing being that Batman is just as popular, if not more, than Spider-Man. He stood out to me because I followed Robert Pattinson since, I have to admit, I watched Twilights. Yes, shame on me. But he never irked me. Um, so it was kind of nice to see him actually get some, juice out of this squeeze. Squeeze out of this juice? You know what I'm talking about. He plays a big role with Tom Holland, and it was nice to see Tom Holland not playing Spider-Man. And can he act? Well, he still sounds like a 14-year-old child. I don't know how he pulls it off, though I think he's in his mid 20s. He still looks young, but I have to give it to him. He held my grasp like he does with Spider-Man. I love him as Spider-Man. Okay. Um, so out of everyone in this entire, oh, wait, I think it's John Bernthal, the Punisher from Marvel. He's in it. I'm telling you, they got everybody that's still left in Hollywood that's made a movie in the last 3 years, or a TV show. I swear to God. So he's in it and he's playing the Punisher, but it's always good to see him because I like him. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember what happens to his character. I could have been something happened to him in the moment that I was taking a ladies' room break, which is why I probably need to sit down and watch this movie again in the comfort of my home, where I can stop and rewind and put captions and follow through. I'm not going to pay for it on streaming when it hits streaming. I'm going to wait for it hit. Is this Paramount? I don't even know. If it's Paramount, I believe I don't have that app. I have Peacock. I hope it's on HBO. I don't know which streaming platform it is. If somebody in my family wants to see it streaming, they want to pay that $19 price. I'll sit through it and rent it for 2 days. But I don't plan to re-rent it unless it's somewhere free on the streaming app because I paid $8 and I think that movies theater tickets should be $8. Sorry. So as far as casting is concerned, there is a cornucopia of people in this cast, and if it's supposed to be of Greek mythology, sure, it's not. I can't tell you how many dark-skinned Indian, Asian, Greek, white Brooklyn people were in the Greek mythology 3,000 years ago when this was written. But again, I don't have an emotional connection, so I was just watching this and I just remember them saying, "I'm a Greek soldier." I'm like, are you really? Are you Greek? Sure. If you let that go, you have to contend with the fast pacedness of this. It's like a TikTok for movies. I'm like, wait, hold up. Every time I sit down and every time I try to gauge what's happening, it flips into another story or a flashback or somebody else's POV. And I'm like, okay, first of all, Christopher, stop. You need to stick to a story and let it flow. Now, from what my understanding, this happens in the book as well. I have no intention to read the book. I am, because if it's like this in the book, then I'm really going to lose my mind. I just felt like every time I try to get my bearings straight, I just was like, what, why is she killing her husband? Why is this child being thrown off a bridge? Why are these puppies being thrown off a cliff? What? Dude, literally, I'm giving you all the spoilers because that's what I can remember. I'm like, there's so much happening in this movie. What is going on? So those are the cons. Okay. You really can't get up to use the bathroom at all. Otherwise, you might miss important things. There's a lot of exposition in the sense that they're talking through things so much. I'm like, for an action movie that's no color, I really, really, really need you to show me. Not tell me. Because I'm not going to lie, somewhere in the middle, I might have dozed off a little. The problem was is that I'm a ding dong because I went to the theater that I've been to a couple of times, and every time I try to figure out the recliners, right? I thought that the theater when I went to Superman didn't have recliners, and apparently I didn't realize the buttons were on the inside. Please don't ask. Just don't ask. Manawa, whatever the hell that Moana, same thing. Now I finally got to figure out where the seat that I need to sit. They're all recliners, but I finally got someone to say it's on the inside. And it was one of those things where it's like three seats separated from each other, and then you have the front and it has all the seats in the front and then all the seats behind you. So you have an aisle to yourself. And I have to be the worst luck because I picked the one that's broken. So the whole time I am uncomfortable for 3 hours as I'm getting up and down. The theater was freezing, freezing. I got to remember to bring a blanket if I'm going to see one of these movies again. Freezing my legs off. I couldn't feel them, and I needed to get up to the bathroom, ladies' room. Sorry, because I needed to feel my legs. And I started to fall asleep because there's just so much freaking talking in this movie. Oh my god! Those are the pros. Those are the cons. Let's get into the pros. When there is action, I did like the music choice that Nolan picked. It was heart palpitation music. You knew the suspense was coming. It just has this, slow build up and build up and build up and build up. And you're watching these scene cuts come in and the fighting and the anticipation. And, that's a very unique skill to tie music into a scene. And it's very important. And I'm going to tell you, every single action scene that is in this has that beautiful heart pumping music attached to it. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was closing my ears because, in the theater I was in, they were pounding it as if everybody was, deaf times 12. So, but I felt it through my heart. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. the action scenes were really well done. I was really impressed with it. I was like, yeah, baby, this is what I'm talking about. A lot of this and no talking. Okay. Um, that was good. I can't. Oh, I liked one of the scenes that they have to travel to an island of that's called Hades or Hell. That island intrigued the crap out of me. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, let's go back to. I'm sorry, I have one more con. Well, no, let's do it. Let's do the pros and I do the double con. Okay. Um, all of the other islands that they visited really didn't impress me. One of them scared the hell out of me because no matter what, everybody portrays a witch as being a bitch. Okay. So they do travel to an island that there's a witch on it because these guys are, remember, they're traveling to Troy, if I'm saying this correctly, to win the war. And that's 10 years. I may get this wrong because, again, there's so much is happening. So correct me if I'm wrong. Then they have to travel back home, which is another 10 years. So they're gone for like 20 years. Okay. While his wife is waiting for him at the place with the Tom Holland, their son, fending off suitors for her, Anne Hathaway, her name was Penelope in the movie, to replace Odysseus, Matt Damon, as king because it's been 20 years and nobody believes he's coming home. I get love, but wow, that's love. So whole other storyline going with that. So they have to travel through these islands to get food, supplies. They're going back home, right? So they go through one of these islands. I'm going to tell you that there's a witch on it, and it was one of the most goriest scenes. And I don't like gore. I don't like horror. I don't like gore. I don't like. I had to actually go like this as this is a spoiler, turning the army of men that Matt Damon has left into actual pigs. And in the way that she does it, it is so disgusting. And there's people who love that crap. If you love that gory crap, you are going to love this scene. Me, not so much. So that was weird. They go to another island where it's the son of Poseidon, who's a giant, and I think his mate. At some point, I got up because I couldn't tolerate this anymore. I had to use the ladies' room. So I may be off on the storyline. And this thing grabs some of the army people and starts eating them like it's a piece of chicken. Yep. So the island of Hades is all of the people who have passed away just walking and talking on the beach. Literally. So, unique way of presenting hell. And they got to see all the past soldiers. And that's when I figured out who Helen of Troy was in proximity of her husband and what happens and what she does to her husband that causes him to die and be on the island of hell. There's a guy named Elliot Page. I don't know much about him. All I know is that people are screaming and bitching about him, and he has maybe 8 minutes of screen time. He's in the beginning, quickly dies, and then he ends up on the island of hell, Hades, and then he has a great exposition, and then that's all she wrote. So, in terms of figuring out who is what is where, again, because I don't know the history of all these people, I'm going to say that confusion level out of 1 out of 10, I'm giving it, I was very confused, a 3. It's one of those things I need to sit down and really delve into. Those were my pros. Tom Holland, great to see him outside of the role of Spider-Man, and he actually had a role. He had more of a role than Zendaya. Um, Robert Pattinson, big role. Anne Hathaway, yeah, sure, whatever. John Leguizamo, okay. His pets pissed me off because what they did to his pets was just wrong, wrong, wrong. Story flow line. Listen, y'all need to y'all need to school me because somebody else needs to come in here and explain this to me. Why so many jump cuts? Why so many? Like Christopher was trying to do so much. Christopher Nolan was trying to do so much, and I feel that he was trying to do so much in the way of integrating the action with the story and then changing it to make it more his movie that he forgot to tell a story, to tell a flow line story that makes sense. It was just like, it was out of order for me. I'm like, how many flashbacks am I going to get for this person when I don't understand what's happening in the forward flash? That's how I felt. Now, I don't know how well this movie's going to do. I'm going to tell you, like, again, there was 60 people. I'm just averaging it out. I don't know how many seats. Let's say 100 seats, 60 people, 40 left. It was pretty significant considering the last two movies I've been to. There's only been 6 to 7 people in it. Nobody was cheering, nobody was clapping. Everybody left, and they were like, "It was good. It was good." I went to the matinee, and there was nobody online waiting for the second showing, which is not the matinee. And again, this is not an IMAX theater, so I don't know if everybody is going to see it in IMAX. I really don't give a furry rat's behind what type of theater it's in. Just give me some damn color, 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 color. What happened to color? Why can't we colorize? I mean, have you seen these movies? Gladiator, Ben-Hur, Jesus Christ, all these older movies, like they made it visually appealing. I did not find this to be visually appealing. It was gray, dark. I'm like, oh God. And when you're in a dark theater and you're looking at a dark screen, do you know how hard that is to enjoy it? For me, it was good to get out of the house for 3 hours. It kind of like structured my time for Saturday afternoon, actually. I was like, hey, I'm out with people. It's raining. So I don't really get to see many people other than them running under the canopy to try to get away from the torrential rains that we got in New York City and Long Island. I was like, well, the guy next to me was talking to me. That was nice. I was like, hey, you're human. And he was laughing because I was trying to figure out how to fix my chair. So every time something crazy happened on screen, we'll just turn to each other, and that's it. But he was comfortable. So I really didn't like him because he was able to figure out how to recline. So I was just like, yeah, I hate you. Nice guy. So it was just nice. And I say this because I wasn't the only one that was alone, like going to a theater alone. And just so you know, I do this a lot. I do go to movies a lot alone. I don't have a problem with that. I actually enjoy it more. So Odyssey. It is probably going to be Oscar nominated because the Oscars love this type of movie. It is not of the caliber that I would expect on an epic storytelling basis like Gladiator, like Ben-Hur, like Gone with the Wind, like all of those type of epics where there's a story, there's a plot, there's color. But it will do well because there's going to be a lot of people who want to see this version of the Odyssey, who study this actually in college, and they are either going to really, really love it or really, really hate it because there is a lot of things in it that, again, casting choices that maybe some people will not be grateful to see, but hopefully that the action that is maybe an hour and a half out of this 3 hour movie is enough. The ending of the movie, I'm not gonna lie, I was not surprised, spoiler alert again, that the Zendaya character, Athena, was a ghost or a product of Odysseus' imagination. She barely had screen time. And every time he's talking to her, somebody's like, who are you talking to? I don't understand the role of Charisse Theron. You know who I'm talking about. I'll put the picture up here. Other than to keep him away from his family for the amount of years that he had to stay away from her. And I don't know who she was in the story. I don't know if she's on this island by herself. Does she have friends? Does she have a coconut? I don't understand. I don't. Because they don't really tell you anything about these people's background. Which would have been nice to understand, how is she on this island by herself, all alone, waiting for people to, I don't know, sand drift their way into the island? It was very weird. It's a weird scene. I was like, what is going on here? The ending, I'm going to say that he was injured, Odysseus, in this huge battle, which included Robert Pattinson. And watching, spoiler, Robert Pattinson be murdered, I was like, oh no, Batman, he'd be dead. You're never going to be on screen again as Batman. Just so you know. So I was like, okay, Tom Holland survives, barely. He does not fight like Spider-Man, that's for sure. There's no web swinging out of him. He barely made it out of the scene. And Odysseus, Matt Damon, is injured. He's supposed to be dying. And then in the end, him and Anne Hathaway and his son are leaving the island. As he's talking, as he's still dying. We're going to do this. We're going to go do this. And then all of a sudden, you see him in her arms. And then you see him on a ship or a boat or whatever the hell it is. And then he's still talking. And then back in the, and they're like expositioning what they're doing as far as how he survived and how he's on the boat. And they're going to the west to do something. It's a lot. Either you're well, you get well, and then you get on the boat, and then you exposition your way out the boat. I can't do the back and forth. I can't. So probably an Oscar nominee. I am not sure if they would win for editing. That might be a lot. I can't be the only one. I can't be. I can't. Intensity, definitely during the scenes that's supposed to be intense with the music. And I don't know if he's going to win director or there's going to be a best actor. Because other than Robert Pattinson and Tom Holland, really nobody else stood out. I'm sorry. Even though every single person other than Pedro Pascal and Robert Downey Jr. in this movie, I guess those two are too busy making Avenger movies. You know what I'm talking about. So if you have free time, almost 3 hours, I think it's 2 hours and 53 minutes, no overture, no intermission, I recommend this. One, get your popcorn or whatever snack that you desire. Get your soda or juice or whatever you want. Don't start eating it and don't start drinking it until after you see the credits, unless you're smart to know when the credits will, not the credits, I'm sorry, the trailers. If you know when your trailers actually start, because 1 o'clock start doesn't mean it starts at 1 o'clock, right? It's like a 15-minute trailer shit show. If you can withstand not eating or drinking, and then you slowly drink and eat during the first hour-ish, by hour 2, you can probably figure out a great time to have a break and go use the facilities and then, or get a refill, whatever it is, and come back. There is about a good break point within when it starts to hour 2, when they start talking to each other in the sense that Anne is talking to Tom Holland and, Matt Damon is talking to his crew, or he's, scripting something in his head or something like that. You'll get a feel, because you'll be like, yeah, I don't need to hear all this. And you can run and take care of that. You'll be good. Other than that, you might get distracted by the editing, but you can get really heart pounding excitement when the action starts, which is around after 2 hours. I'm sorry, but it is. The island jumping, you could love gore, so you just need to be patient and wait till they get to all the islands that are torturous. And when he finally gets home, the scene of him defeating and how he defeats Matt Damon is literally Batman. Because the way he defeats all these people, he's a one-man band. There's no Punisher. There's no Spider-Man. That's it. It's him. I was like, wow, Batman is alive. So if you have 3 hours and you want to get out of the house and it's something that you can withstand, go for it. I did, like I said, the matinee. I will not pay full price for any movie. I don't care who it is. I am not paying full price when Spider-Man comes out either. I'm going to a matinee. Sorry. If you can catch it on an IMAX, great. I really don't give a fairy rat's behind about an IMAX. That doesn't really do crap for me. I just wish that it had lighting. And you just want to go out and then go and grab something to eat, you can go out and be out of the house for 5 hours. And for some people, that's important because they are trapped inside of their homes and they're sick of watching whatever's on streaming. And this is definitely new. It's not a version that you haven't seen before as far as monsters and gore and stuff like that, but it's something different. So I give it out of 10, a strong 7. Strong 7. Needs a lot of work, but there's something there. I really don't care who the director is. I'm not a one fan director, Christopher Nolan. I know this might be a shock, but I really didn't like the Batman that he did. I know. I may get yelled at. I wasn't a fan, you know? I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I have to mentally prepare myself to find it and then sit down and go through it. I would love to see more funny stuff. I've given up on the DCU. I know Marvel is coming out with movies. And until we figure out what's happening with DCU and James Gunn and that whole universe, I'll keep waiting for them to be in other movies other than my poor DCU that's being desecrated. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you ventured out into the world and touched grass and actually saw this movie and your opinions on it. And please, this is not coming from a place of, oh, because this actress shouldn't be saying what, which is a little weird to me because I don't know why Lupita is talking crap when she's in the movie less than 4 minutes. You know, she doesn't even like. I don't. They could have done away with that whole storyline, and I wouldn't have noticed the difference. Seriously, for real. Um, if there's something that you follow and you are looking forward to it because you've studied it, it's part of your life, or you have no clue like I am and you're going in there blind. And how did you come out? I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that it brought some clarity. It is spoiler, but I'm sorry, but it's all over the internet, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. All the spoilers are out there. Too late. Unless you have completely disconnected yourself and you're living under a rock, I ask you, where is this rock and is it an Airbnb and how do I get in it? So, from here to around the world that I reach, I wish you a blessed day, blessed end of the weekend, blessed beginning of the week, end of the week, month, and year. So, thank you, everyone, for stopping by. And I hope that you decide to subscribe. And to my OG people, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. See you in my next video, which I'm working on because, I just got a new phone and I got 400 videos I need to figure out how to upload.